trying to get onto the table.
And we're live.
We're live.
Woo! She's
We'll do it
almost
live.
there. She's trying really hard.
I'll come in the studio and I'll do it myself and we'll do it live.
Okay, you were saying something about you tried to do live streaming originally?
Yeah, I tried to do live streaming back in 2016 or 2017. At the time, YouTube didn't have its live streaming feature because they got rid of it. But now they brought it back. But I'm not going to criticize YouTube because then this video could get taken. I don't know. I'm not just.
I don't know. I mean, what can you say that's safe on YouTube anymore? You know.
Well,
On his
I
phone.
don't know.
Sorry, just
Oh,
making
you're
sure that I'm just making
watching.
sure the
Making sure
video
it's
went
good.
live.
Gotcha,
Okay.
gotcha.
Yep. So,
Yep.
okay, so this is let's see. Is this my first video this year?
Yeah?
Yep.
I think
Yeah,
it
that's
is.
right. This is the first video.
We've kind of had an
2019.
insane couple of months.
Yeah, we won
Live.
we won a lawsuit against our former landlords because I mentioned this in a couple of chapters that I posted that our apartment got flooded with sewer water, like literally there were like human feces and chunks like in our carpet, and
Beautiful.
we had to like threaten them with court to get them to replace the carpets, but then it was like in the walls and stuff, and they weren't doing anything
It was
about
so
that.
bad.
So we're like, we have an infant child, we can't live in here, and they're like, okay, we'll give you another apartment, but it's in the same building and it also has flooding
She
problems.
wants to cry.
So we're just like, no, bye. And they're like, well, you can't leave because your lease hasn't expired yet. And like, break our lease, or I'm going to take you to court. They kind of laughed at that. They're like, you're not going to go to court. I took them to court and I won.
Sorry.
Challenge accepted.
Pretty much that's how it went.
Yeah.
So
We're alive.
we moved out like 2 days before the year ended. And like I had the new place like entirely unpacked within 30 hours. It was awesome. Like for the first week that I was living here, I was just like, I feel like I should still be unpacking stuff, but there's nothing left to do.
Sorry, I'm the LaCroix
LaCroix.
holder at the
You
moment.
Lux LaCroix. We are not sponsored by LaCroix.
That's a happy sound, I promise. She's gonna like break everyone's ears if
Yeah.
you're listening with headphones.
She's like mad that we're not
Sorry.
sponsored by
We should like start up with a warning whenever she's involved in a
Yeah.
video. Be like, please don't wear headphones while you're
Just
watching
like a
this.
blinking thing in
We
the
would have,
corner, like warning baby screaming.
We would have her somewhere else, but she wasn't happy.
She demanded to be awake
Yes.
and alive.
That's LaCroix. That's not your dad.
I mean,
Chris's mom.
yeah.
I'm the
Apparently,
mom,
Chris's
yeah.
mom and LaCroix's dad, and
I'm more.
I mean, to be fair, she does a fair amount of nomming on me as she does that LaCroix. So,
That's true.
but then she gets it from her mother.
Oh, don't bring that up.
Anyway.
Sorry, that took me a minute.
Anyway.
I woke up one time.
Oh, boy.
She was pregnant, and like there's something like wet on my shoulder, and I turn over. I'm like, what is going on? She was chewing on me in her sleep.
I don't remember this.
I don't remember
So I
a lot
don't-
of stuff I do when I'm sleeping, and you still think it's funny.
Yeah.
Marriage.
Yeah.
Domestic bliss.
So anyway,
Lots of trouble.
the topics that you want to talk about, Joe.
So we're kind of just talking about a little bit about the stuff that we've done over the last year, and stuff that we hope to do this year. Chris, as I understand it, you filmed your first project, right?
I did, yeah. I wrote and directed my first
Nope.
film. Oh, and it's a student film, and I'm hoping to finish the edit within the next week.
All right. Is this
So-
film going to be available on YouTube or somewhere else?
I'm not sure because I'm submitting this film to a festival and I've never done that before.
Okay.
And I believe
So
if
exciting.
you submit it to a festival, you can't put it on YouTube yet
Okay.
until like after the festival.
Okay, so it could go up eventually.
Eventually, yeah. it could
Are we
go
allowed to
up.
tell them the name of the project?
Sure. Yeah, we can tell 'em.
So the name of the project is 11.
Tell us about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I go to a community college and we have a film program there. And every semester, our final, you have to make a short film, and they choose a director from each from the directing class. And they split it into like two groups. So there's like two directors, two crews, and you make two movies. And this semester, the genre we chose was sci-fi. And my the other director was doing something more of like a Twilight Zone thing. His turned out really interesting. I was really happy just seeing how like his film went. And then mine, I wanted to go for more of a Blade Runner feel. So mine's heavily inspired by Blade Runner.
Okay.
The footage looks really awesome so far.
Yeah,
I'm
no, our
excited to see how
camera-
it turns out.
Yeah, our camera operator is Nark Gafford. they were a dream. They did a great job.
Nice.
And then Chris actually helped me film a project of my own. Yeah. I've been working on it. So for those of you that don't know, I've been diabetic for 10 years now, actually, as of the last week of December last year, and 2018. Chris kind of helped me document how that's affected my life and how it's changed me in some ways, and just some advice that I had. And I'm working on editing it right now, and eventually, sometime in the next couple months, I hope to have that released out, share like a little bit of what it's what the kind of hardships that I've had to face because of it. And that's something that I've actually wanted to do for quite a long time, and I felt that this was the best platform to use it on. Let's see. Unprofessionally, this little one came into our lives last year, and it's been pretty funny ever since.
Oh yeah. Like,
She's eyeballing that cake, man.
she really wants.
She's looking
it.
to jump up on this table and go grab it.
She's ready.
Yep.
She's ready. She's also staring at Chris still.
Yeah, she does that.
She does. Babies like stare into your soul whenever it's
They see you and they see all of your sins and they just stare through you.
They just know you.
They know exactly what you.
Yeah,
You done goofed.
you done goof.
So yeah, but we also did we talk about the project we started with Becca?
No, we have not. So I've talked a little bit about this on my Sand Tale story. We're gonna try and do a little bit of a group project. Where so Becca, my wife, and our friend Becca, she's been on this podcast a couple times. She's gonna help us do some of the artwork and some of the voices because we're gonna start doing a comic. And the first one that we're planning on doing is going to be a kind of OVA type thing for Sand Tale. So it'll be like and yes, you probably don't know what this term is, but an OVA is kind of like a what if for animes. Like it kind of like puts characters in situations that's like it can't happen in the actual timeline.
Like the My Hero Academia movie that came out recently.
Sort of,
Right.
but that's not an OVA. That's not a proper OVA. Like OVAs are usually like a funny thing that happens. For Sword Art, there's a couple episodes where they are hanging out in real life and they're all a bunch of awkward dorks because they don't know what they're doing outside of the video games. And then in Fairy Tail, there's a Christmas episode where they're all trying
What about
to.
the Ichiya zombie episode?
That's not an OVA. That's
That's
actually
not
part
OVA.
of the canon
That's
timeline.
canon.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
No, but like they're trying to like set up Christmas for the town without blowing it up, and as you can imagine, with Natsu and Gray around, that's a pretty hard thing to
Would
do.
an OVA also be like what they used to do on Avatar: Last Airbender when it's like them in like a classroom and like Iroh?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
like
that's
the
exactly
cheat
yes.
delay,
With the little
yeah.
cheat,
Yeah.
that's a good example.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
so you
know
have
I
a
watch
bit-
Hunter x Hunter with my sister, and sometimes they do that in Hunter x Hunter.
Okay, yeah, that's a good example of that. So we're gonna be doing obviously we don't have the technology to do like a full motion comic or anything like that, but we will be providing voiceovers.
We're working
I'll be
on the artwork right now.
Yeah, I will be putting up some concept images and stuff up on my Instagram and on Twitter. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, I'm _red_swordsman.
We
No
can put a link
uppercase.
to it.
Oh
in the
yeah, that's true.
description.
That's true. I forget technology is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
We can do it. So we
Yeah.
have the technology.
Do you have anybody
It's
commenting
cool.
right now?
Let's see. Nobody's
Anybody
commented.
tuning in?
Nobody's commented yet.
It's a Friday night.
Um,
They have
it is a
lives,
Friday night. People
hopefully.
are doing stuff, and we haven't done one of these in a while.
Yeah.
I didn't really put an announcement up for it because it's kind of the spur of the moment thing, but it'll still go up later as a video.
Nice.
Let's see. What about you? What have you done? What have you done over the last year?
Oh my gosh.
You're pretty
I
amazing.
gave birth. I graduated with my bachelor's.
All
and I
within
got
like
a
2 weeks of each other.
job. So now I'm teaching an elementary art classroom, and so I have every single kid in an entire school. I have like hour slots for each class throughout the week, which is nice, but it's insane. And I've just honestly, all of my creative energy has been going into writing lesson plans and doing kid art. So I haven't done a whole lot of extra stuff. I am working on a couple of illustration projects right now. One of which is for our Joe's book, and another one is just kind of a personal series of illustrations that I'm wanting to sell eventually. And so, yeah, but I haven't really, literally all
If
I've
you guys
done
want to
today.
know about getting any artwork from her, you can contact us.
I
through-
do. I'm actively open for commissions right now because I've been pretty good at keeping my work stuff at work, so I do have a little bit of time. And if you want to check, we can also put the link to my art pages if you would like to check out some of the stuff I've done. I know I've also done a few commissions for our listeners as well, so
Mhm.
you guys can take it from them.
Mhm.
Just depends on the scale of it, but
Mhm.
I try to get them out as soon as possible with a baby and a job and a husband.
I was gonna say, one of them took a little longer than it should have,
Yeah,
but you were pregnant, and
yeah.
the type of paint that was requested you couldn't use while you were pregnant.
I couldn't use toxic materials.
So we had to put a hold on
So,
it for a
yeah.
while.
And I have child. But anyway, aside from that, not a whole lot, but
Mm.
we're excited for the comic project. I think is the most
Yes,
exciting
that's gonna be really fun. Is like I'm really looking forward to that because it's gonna be something silly, something goofy. Like I do a lot of like serious, angry stuff, and this will kind of be a little bit of a relief from that.
Mhm.
I
You
don't
just
know if
wrote a
relief
pretty
is-
dark chapter too.
Oh, you haven't even heard the darkest part of it.
Yeah, some
I'm
of the
afraid.
comments are pretty. Yeah, well, you'll see.
Yeah.
Well, that's not even for the story we're talking about.
Oh,
for something
yeah.
else,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
This is how many stories do you have going on right now?
Let's see. Sandtail, Red Swordsman, Shattered Fragment, Fire Sword, Shrouded Destiny. I think that's the 3 that I'm working on actively right now.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legacy of Korra is on hold for the time being. I'm trying to work on it,
We
but
want
inspiration
that one.
hasn't.
That
That one
one
needs to be special.
Yeah, that one we want.
I
to
only
really
work on
good
that when I'm at
quality.
my absolute best.
So yeah.
Yeah.
The last Shattered. We're a few chapters ahead of the releases on Shattered Fragment.
No, we're only
obviously.
I've been releasing those as I read them to you,
Oh,
basically.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
the next
No,
chapter is
Sandtail's
very
the one that
dark.
we're ahead of.
So I'm a little.
It's
I'm
cute that the
nervous.
Sandtail people think that this is one of my dark stories.
Yeah, this is pretty adorable for Joseph's writing.
Yeah, the main character in this story, the one that we're gonna read the responses to here in a minute, he's
He's like the most lighthearted original character.
under certain circumstances that isn't true, which is why some people are like, dude, what the heck? And I'm like, well, everybody's got their limit.
Yeah, he is a Saiyan.
Yep.
And when there's a certain point where Saiyans don't really make sense in their anger, so
Mhm.
That's right.
yeah.
Try anytime Vegeta ever went Super Saiyan.
Yeah. On that note, do
Alrighty.
you want to do
So we start from the bottom.
some of our fan fiction reviews for Sandtail?
Sure, let's do it.
So
This is for chapter 13, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna wait on 14 until a few more people have checked it out. That way we can have a little more space. That is the microphone. That is not your father. Put a plug in
Just
it.
like what I wanted.
She wants it.
That's what bingies are. They're plugs for babies.
They are.
Alrighty.
So, Yu Sumeragi writes, kind of surprised you had time on Christmas. Fun chapter.
Well, I'm glad that you were surprised by Christmas, but I wrote this in advance so I could release it on Christmas.
Ah.
Yeah. Because how many chapters are we ahead in this story right now?
Let's see. This chapter 14 was just released. I have written up to chapter 22 in their entirety. So
Yeah. They keep
so-
forgetting that. We
Yeah.
keep telling them, like, guys.
I'm like, I
no.
have a plan for characters in advance, but none of y'all seem to believe me.
Like, they try to give suggestion. It's like, sorry, it's been written for a really long time. We're
It's
just
like
Yeah.
the Beatles Let It Be, like it was made before it was released. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's like one of the few songs from the Beatles that I actually know. Yeah.
Sure.
It's sad. He
It's
is
sad.
uncultured.
I'm an uncultured swine.
He intentionally pretends he doesn't know what songs are by the Beatles so he can make me angry.
It's
Even
so
though
easy.
he knows, but he doesn't know. So it's anyway. I'm not even gonna go
Guys,
there.
if you ever
It's all
want
good.
your life to get funnier, get married. It's awesome.
It's pretty great.
She's pretty funny too.
Rhatch89 writes, awesome update.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed my update, Archat89. Did I say that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Alright.
Yeah, Rhatch89. So like the letter R and then the word hatch and then 89.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Or
Alright.
Ratch. I don't know. Whatever. Simon.
Oh boy, this guy's always got long reviews.
Yeah.
And he's not always been a very big fan of the stuff that I've done, but I think recently he started to come around a little bit.
At least in the last chapter he was.
Okay.
Let's see what he says. So is it Simon or Kaiman?
Simon, I believe.
Yeah. So Simon writes, so much good stuff here. It's hard to comprehend how awesome this was. The Wizards
Wow.
of Fairy Tale being given moves based on Dragon Ball techniques to give an elements of surprise. Lucy and Yukino using the rings to fuse together into the new Lucino, who's a major badass like Edolas Lucy, and now the kid has Super Saiyan 2. Where to begin here? Where indeed? First off, I'd like to say that after a long while of thinking, I can understand the nerf of Super Saiyan 2. Because in my head canon that I came up with after reading this, because of how the kid can't use Kai and traded
Ki? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Ki, right?
yeah,
Okay, yeah, that's Ki.
and traded it for magic when he was implanted in the world of Fairy Tail by Shenron. He was given a weaker source of power and is considerably weaker by Dragon Ball standards. I mean, much earlier you had the kid compare Gildarts to having power to rival Super Saiyan 2, and I highly doubted that so much. Plus, this may be pushing it, but I think that even in the current state, with having Super Saiyan 2 under his belt, the kid can't beat Frieza during the fight on Namek. Even still, it's great to see him finally ascend, but it seems to be a con instead of a pro, given how he's more bloodthirsty than Gohan was at the first, and maybe even Vegeta. Or Majin Vegeta. Majin Vegeta, sorry. But I can't be certain of the latter.
Bloodthirsty.
Welp, bye-bye, Minerva, you won't be missed ever, and then laughing in the face. And there's more, but do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I'll respond to a couple of things. Okay, more bloodthirsty than Majin Vegeta? Excuse you? Majin Vegeta blew up an entire crowd of people just because they were there.
Yeah, Vegeta's pretty bloodthirsty.
Oh, he regresses, like in past the part that you're at. Like, there's an arc where he regresses, like back to how he was at the beginning of the show.
Ooh.
Yeah, and like he just blows up a crowd of people because they're there. So my character killed one person, but they severely abused a couple of his friends.
Okay.
So he was looking for revenge from the start. So in his base form, he was already pretty angry. And the higher level Super Saiyan you go, the more your reason gets whittled away. Like the harder it is to make sane choices.
Oh, you know what? Pause real quick. You should probably do a quick synopsis of what happened in this chapter.
Okay, so this chapter was basically the Grand Magic Games.
Yeah.
The final day, at
Right.
least. So Fairy Tail.
I haven't heard it in a long time.
Okay, so this is the one where they have the battle royale throughout Crocus, and Fairy Tail eventually comes out on top, but they have to beat everybody else first. Originally, Urza had to fight Kagura and then Minerva.
Mhm.
But this time, Goran interfered, and he took on Minerva while Urza was dealing with Kagura. And he kills her in his Super Saiyan 2 form. And it was premeditated. It was premeditated on his part. Premeditated. Sorry.
Mediation is very different from meditation.
I know how to English really good. Anyways, premeditated murder. Sorry. Yes, he wanted to kill her for quite a while now. But I think he wasn't really sure that he was going to do it. But once you hit Super Saiyan 2, like your inhibitions are just removed at that point. You don't care. So yeah, he lasered her. When I was first reading it to you, actually, like he blows up like an entire line of houses and a mountain while he's at it. And you're like, did he just vaporize a bunch of people? I'm like, no, everybody's in the stadium. Nobody else got killed. I'm like, he's not that crazy. Which brings me back to my point about Majin Vegeta. Majin Vegeta killed people that were just there because of the sake of it. And he killed a lot of people while he was at it. Goran had a premeditated grudge against this person. So I feel like it's pretty different. I don't think that comparing him to Majin Vegeta is in any way accurate.
Yeah, he's still kind of.
And as for the point about Gohan, it's like Gohan's the nicest, most chill guy out of the entire group. And he went on a freaking rampage, kill all of the Cell Juniors like that, and then went on to torture.
Chill, but he's okay. Yeah.
But then he went on to torture Cell, deliberately let him get stronger. He deliberately didn't kill him straight up because he wanted to enjoy killing him. So it's like
there's a big difference.
So yeah, that's a big difference. Goran didn't necessarily enjoy killing Minerva. He just felt that it was something that needed to be done in order for his friends to be safe.
Mm-hmm. So
the base motivation is something entirely different. So comparing him to Majin Vegeta or Gohan during the Cell games, no, that's apples and oranges and pears while you're at it. Let's see. I think that's all I got to say about that part. I'm glad you approve of the Metamorph fusion between Lucy and Yukino. That was one that I kind of came up with on the fly when I was first writing it. But I was like, you know what? If any two people are going to fuse with the Metamorph fusion, it would be those two because their magics are the most similar. Your physiology your physiology also has to be quite similar, and they're anime girls, so of course they're going to be built similarly. So what the heck? That just adds to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I decided to, so with Metamorph fusions, it's supposed to create an entirely new personality. I just decided to kind of have her based on the Edelus Lucy personality because it's so
That
different
works.
from either.
Yeah,
It's so different from either of the other two.
they're both. Yeah, definitely.
But at the same time, it still brings a familiar note into it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that works. That's good.
Okay, all right. I'm done with that part. Please continue.
Okay. The next one's a shorter paragraph. But the moves that the Fairy Steel Wizards were given were very fitting. They really are. I hope we see that Gajiel
Gajiel.
Mhm.
has. I hope we see what Gajiel has though, and maybe even Mary Jane.
Mira Jane, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mary Jane if she has one.
Mhm.
Shame Juvia didn't get the chance to use the special beam cannon. That could have been awesome to see a piercing water beam wreck someone. The only move I wasn't expecting was Wendy having double Sunday for a moment. I thought it was the Masenko with how you positioned your hands. Nice cues. I kind of want to guess that maybe Gajiel has the Destructo disc, which would be an Iron Buzzsaw. Lol. But we'll have to wait and see.
That's a pretty good guess. Let's see. Is that all of it?
Oh no, there's more.
Oh,
And then the next part. Now you say that Lucino is the current title arc, but I'm having issues in both browser and mobile with some stories not showing their title art, so I won't know until I read it happen. Very interesting concepts of having fused celestial wizards use the magic of the spirits on demand instead of needing to summon them. I do have a question though. Is her vest based on the design of Masako X's
Masako X.
Moscow X Raditz story with Ranch and Trunks fusion, or is it the same vest as every other fusion dance result? Because if it's the latter, there needs to be a sash under the vest covering Lucino's breasts as the normal vest that Gotenks and Gogeta wear are wide open and flows, so it would expose them widely.
Well,
So
yeah,
I'm
we
not a
changed
fan of
the
fan.
artwork.
So I'm not a fan of fan service. So there's never actually been an official artwork for a female Metamorph fusion. I went on the design that Masako X did for one of his online comics, kind of like what we're going to be doing eventually. A boy and a girl end up fusing, but the fusion result ends up being in a female.
Okay.
Normally, the fusion they're talking about always results in a certain kind of clothing, and it's this open vest that kind of splits down here, shows off the abs, whatever. But yeah, it does flow. So for a girl, that wouldn't exactly work. Masako got around this by so like there's the shoulder pads, and then there's the fabric that is cut here, and he just had it closed instead of leaving it open. So that's what I based that on because, like I said, I'm not a fan of fan service. I think it's pretty pointless. I think it takes away from the stories. But anyways,
What do you mean by like fan service?
like
Fan service is
basically like
boobs,
girls flossing it.
butts.
Oh, so just
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, me either. Yeah.
So I decided to do some people. So what the reason he's asking is because there's a lot of artwork where the vest is open, but to get around that, people had an old style. So they had an old style like binding around the chest instead. And as I understand it, some female warriors would do that in certain cultures. So it makes sense, but I'm like, nah, just close the vest. Makes it much easier. So that answers that question.
Have you
next
released
chap-
that artwork?
Yeah, that art. Excuse me.
If you want to find that artwork, where
That artwork can be found on my Instagram page, like I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, so we'll put the link.
I'll put the link
after
in the
video.
description. Or the description? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I can do
Last
that.
thing to comment on is the fight with Sharia.
Shelia.
Shelia.
Sharia. The way that it's spelled is different than the way that it sounds. It's really
Right.
stupid.
So Shelia is how it's pronounced?
Yes,
Okay.
Shelia is how it's pronounced.
So last thing to comment on is the fight with Shelia. That's a good explanation for him getting his ass kicked. But can the offspring of Sans actually inherit the godly key? And since he's not even actually using it, why was it fully cancel out his attacks? Because I know Bola might have been conceived after Vegeta gained Super Saiyan Blue, but that's kind of hard to swallow depending on how far into the heritage of Earthling blood has buried the Saiyan blood with this kid. I'm a bit disappointed that everything after the Minerva fight was rushed, though. I would have liked to see a full descriptive story on what happened before and right after the kid returned to fight Lion and Shelia with Gray. Would have been fun.
Okay, so to that last part, I've said this many times before, but I will say it again. If it already happened in the anime and nothing really changes, Go watch the anime. I'm not going to cover that twice. It's redundant. Let's see. So the God Key thing, that I will explain. So Trunks, as we see in the Goku Black arc with Future Zamasu, he attains a new form while fighting Zamasu that is not. It's a Super Saiyan form, unlike one that we've seen before. His hair is still yellow and everything, but he also has this blue energy that sticks very close to his body. And if we recall, he trained pretty hard with Vegeta for a little bit. Now, who's to say that he wasn't somehow affected by this godly key, and that this is some sort of Super Saiyan demigod form, for lack of a better term? This kind of leads me to believe that it is possible for people with similar genetics or people that are descended from to learn to tap into the God Key, or just have it if they are a descendant. And Shelia, being a God Slayer, she would have a very negative effect on anybody with any trace amount of that nature or that kind of energy inside them. Goran may not know how to use it, but by this we kind of see that he has it. So that kind of leaves some room for you guys to think about which path is he going to go down, because he has the tail. He could go Super Saiyan 4 eventually, but Super Saiyan 4 is a lot harder to control up here than the God forms. So let's just wait and see which path he chooses to take on eventually, and I think you guys will be interested.
And then there's one more thing he said. Lastly, did Rogue actually take a form like this? I don't remember, but now I'm getting a bit concerned after that. Hope he's not been possessed by the Time Breakers or Fu. Can't wait to see the next chapter. Hopefully it comes sooner. And then the Hell of Dragons reigns on the world. Things are getting extra interesting. Keep up the good work, and Merry Christmas. Smithers.
Thanks for the Merry Christmas, man. So yes,
You're growing on him.
the White Shadow Dragon form was not my invention. That happens in the anime. Just a bit of backstory. In the future, Rogue killed Sting, took his power, became White Shadow Dragon.
Spoiler alert!
I mean, we've already covered that there's spoilers in this.
Spoiler alert. I don't know what's going on. So.
Yeah. And then let me think. I'm glad that everybody's liking the Dragon Ball based magic attacks, because though I spent a long time trying to figure out, okay, whose personality works with what kind of, or what magic works with what kind of attack. Because originally I thought about giving Gajeel the Makan Kosopo, the special beam cannon that's more widely known. But I was like, so what happens when the energy is done being? Does he just have like a giant drill bit sticking out of his fingers and then that just drops? That's impractical. So he ended up with something else, and I decided to give Juvia the Makan Kosopo.
This is what he thinks about in the shower.
Good
I
to
mean,
know. Good to know.
It's a good place to think. You guys should try it sometime.
You're not wrong about that.
All right.
So your next person, Joe Clone.
Joe Clone.
Yeah.
I love Joe Clone.
Reading this after, so he starts by saying, reading this after the Fire Sword Shrouded Destiny, and before I get to Red Swordsman Shattered Fragment. They get Dragon Ball attacks. I'm so fired up about this. Iron Dragon, Hell's End Grenade. In parentheses, I came up with that one on the fly. If Gajeel is using it later in the story, I know why. Months in advance writing time. Lucino's intro was great, and I love her trying to rival Natsu. It's such a removed personality trait from her two quote-unquote soul sources, in parentheses, again inventing a term. You mentioned in the video about the reviews of the last 3 chapters that future Lucy is missing an arm, but that hasn't been addressed yet, and you said you will. Is that the next chapter? I'll wait until the next review rundown video on your channel for the answer. Merry Christmas, Mataris, to you and your family.
Thanks for the Merry Christmas, man. I touched on it briefly in writing. It hasn't really become an important part yet, but it will be covered more extensively. It will. Let's see. If not in the next chapter that I release, then the one after, because it will be made plain that she is currently missing an arm, and that sucks. I'm glad you like all the Dragon Ball attacks. That seems to be like a really popular thing with the readers.
You know, when he was like a year ago, when he was first kind of brainstorming and figuring all this stuff out, I was like, really? Does it really matter, all these little details? And clearly it does, because you guys seem to be enjoying it. So I'm glad he stuck with it. I'm sorry I wasn't very
Nope. You're allowed to have
So,
your opinions. You've helped me out in a lot of other things.
the problem is I've seen a lot more Fairy Tail than Dragon Ball.
Mm.
And so I think that's a very important aspect of Dragon Ball.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm not a huge Dragon Ball fan, not that I don't like it. I like it. I just haven't watched a lot. I don't understand how important
The
all of those little
significance.
details
Well,
are.
something to
So-
remember is that like a lot of these people, a lot of the people that read this is like they grew up on their Saturday mornings getting ready for Vegeta to fire off a final flash,
for
and
like a million years.
yeah. There's so many
So
memes
all
where
those
Trunks like
details
fires
are
off
like-
one in like 5 seconds. Vegeta punches him. He's like, "Idiot! You need to charge for half an episode before firing."
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like they would get excited about these signature moves coming out and stuff.
Oh.
Are you okay?
She wants to cry.
Children.
But, oh man,
The things they do.
yes. But
I like
yeah, I'm
this.
glad that everybody's liking it because I spent a long time coming up with who gets what attack. And something to touch on about Lucino is that the idea for her having the Zodiac Spirit's powers without actually summoning them, not my idea originally. Lucy does it regularly, starting in the Fairy Tail 2018 act, or if you saw the Dragon Cry movie, she starts doing it there. She can summon the spirit, and she can also use their powers on her own. So Lucino being able to do this sooner is just a result of them advancing their skills
I feel
by the
like
fusion.
later in Fairy Tail.
Yeah, this is just
Lucy
making it
is able to
happen
do this.
faster. Like Lucy or
So
Yukino.
sorry if that's a spoiler again.
It's like,
but
Lucy or Yukino can't do it on their own at this point. They'll figure out how to eventually. It might happen faster because they know they can do it at some
Mhm.
point. So they know to work towards it
Mhm.
instead of it just kind of happening by accident as a byproduct of intense training.
Yeah.
But Lucino having it wasn't exactly originally my idea. But I just kind of wanted to touch on that. real
Yeah.
quick.
That's true.
All right, what else have we got?
Your next person, Meijin Lightus.
Megalolitus, yes.
I can't wait. The fusion was cool and something I didn't see coming. He didn't put C, but it's okay. People must also follow.
That's yeah.
Something I didn't see coming. Minerva is dead. Oh well, she hasn't. She wasn't a big part of the story, but I will miss the change she goes through in the 2018 anime, as well as the manga. But oh well, I never really liked. I liked Rufus more than Minerva. God damn, Rufus is better than Minerva in my eyes. Great chapter.
The guy with the
Yeah.
pink
Yeah,
feather and the big hat.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know if you remembered who that was.
At
Great
first, I thought it
chapter.
was like the dog guy with the sock, but then I remembered who Rufus was.
And then he says, "Great chapter, mate. Can't wait for more."
Yes. He.
Sorry for saying that.
No, you know what? For him, that's that's a really long review. Normally, he's
Really?
very short spoken,
Okay.
so he must have enjoyed this chapter quite a bit.
Next person, guest. Wow, very descriptive. No, I'm kidding. Okay, who has more power, the Magic Council or the Royal Family?
Okay, so if I understand it correctly, the Magic Council is the people that rule over the magicians, and since the magicians are kind of help to take on the more difficult stuff that the army can't do, they have a significant amount of power over the people. However, the king and his family are the ones that run the military.
Kind
and
of
all
like
that.
the end of the Aragon series.
Yes, more or less.
Okay. Sorry,
Yeah.
I just finished
Yeah,
reading
the
them,
Magic
so
Council
I'm
was like the head
okay.
of the Dragon Riders, and the king would be like Naswada or Galbatorix or whoever.
Got it.
So, I mean, it's kind of an even Stevens kind of thing, because
Cool.
they kind of both have an equal claim on the hearts of the people, you might say.
Got it.
Next person, Jeremy Scout. Again, Metamo ring is worn on the bicep, not the finger. Aside from that, though, great chapter. Enjoyed it really. Also, Lucy and future Lucy could use Metamorem fusion and create a very, very powerful fusion. Their anatomy is the exact same. Their power levels are quite similar, and their height is also the exact same. They'd end up being called Fused Lucy, really, because Zamazu, sorry.
No, that's fine, man.
I'm butchering
There's
this.
weird
Yeah.
names, man.
Zamazu fused with himself, and he's called Fused Zamasu. In other words, if there's ever time Go-Run could teach the two Lucys the standard fusion dance with no Metamo ring, and if they learn it perfectly and practice it, then, well, a very strong fusion indeed. And of course, you could do the same with Natsu and Gijil, because again, similar height, similar power levels, and if they learn the standard fusion dance, also with no ring involved, then my friend, that is the Fairy Tail World's version of Gogeta? Gogeta.
Okay. I feel like Gajil's
I think
way
Natsu got
taller.
I don't know.
than
I think Natsu got taller in the time gap, so maybe that's what they're thinking of. But as of the point of the story that they're at right now, no,
That
their height is
seems-
not similar.
yeah.
Well, then he also says in parentheses about Gogeta, he's canon now, so yay! Can't wait for the English dub of the Broly movie.
Neither can I. I want to go see that.
Gogeta destroy him, and then the rest of it is. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Keep up the good work, and I can't wait for the next chapter.
Okay. All right.
Ring.
So Future Lucy cannot use Metamore Infusion because you need both hands to do it.
Do I need to fact check anything?
No, I had this.
Okay.
I have that part pretty memorized
Okay.
pretty hard. No, you need both hands to be able to do a Metamore Infusion because you're supposed to send all your energy flowing into each other through the tips of your fingers, specifically your 2 pointer fingers. And when you're lacking an arm, you can't really do that. Also, I know the original Metamore rings were worn on the upper bicep. I've said this before. These are a more advanced model. They're smaller. They can just go on your finger. Makes it a little easier to hide. So people are like, what's the weird armband? What's he doing with that? Also means it's less likely to get broken in a fight. But I'm glad you enjoyed the chapter, man. Just like, I know what I'm doing, people!
knows what she's
Simon
about.
makes another comment.
Oh.
To the guest reviewer, the Metamo rings featured here are original ones that Mataris came up with as improved versions.
Thank
And
you.
second, while it wasn't plainly stated, Future Lucy actually is missing an arm, so she couldn't fuse if she wanted to.
Thank
Okay.
you! Wow! He leaves a super long review that was mostly good, and he's coming to my defense. I guess I've won him over.
Yeah.
The next person, Hanzo Hazashi, 24. I don't want to tell you how to write, but Goron is bloody thirsty to the story. Even Goku and Gohan SSJ2 were not like this.
You're wrong. Sorry. I went over this
Should I
earlier.
fact check anything?
I already fact checked this. You know,
Should I fact check in case you're wrong? I don't know.
I mean, you saw the abridged version of when Gohan fought Cell, right?
Yeah.
He was a
I don't-
completely different person to how he normally is.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's
Okay.
been a while. But
Well,
yeah,
like,
that sounds
But
about
you,
right.
yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah,
I've only seen the
it is a
original
it is a
model, that's all I've seen.
it is a fact that even the base Super Saiyan form removes a great deal of your inhibitions and your ability to reason. Goku,
Yeah, your
Almost-
personality
go- the
undergoes
first
a
time-
major change.
the first time that Goku transformed into a Super Saiyan in the original, he told Gohan to leave the planet because he didn't know how long he would be able to maintain control of his faculties.
Interesting.
So yeah, basically he was telling him, there's going to be a point coming up real soon where I'm not going to be able to tell friend from foe.
Okay.
Now, as you practice the form more and more, it's easier to. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the more used you get to it, the stronger it gets. So the more they use these forms, the more the mentality
and they can
they're able to
retain
maintain.
their personality.
But this
and
is his
their-
first time going Super Saiyan 2. He's
Mhm.
never been able to do that before, and the awakening of power is incredibly violent. It multiplies your power literally times 100 of your base form.
Got it.
And it does it removes your inhibitions to an amazing degree, and that makes the character using it incredibly dangerous. And I think a lot of people forget about that now because Super Saiyan 2 even is just like, oh, he's powered up, he's gonna go fight this guy. It's nothing remarkable to achieve anymore. And he had to, and he's worked hard to try and get it. And partially because of that, it changes his outlook on how things. It changes how he reacts to the world around him when he's like this, and I think people forget about that a lot.
Mm.
But no, you're wrong.
Okay. Next person, War Machine 375. I hate to break it to you, dude, but Goron has just committed straight up murder in all caps in front of everyone, all caps, in the GMG all caps audience after he went SSJ2 in an extreme bloodthirsty manner and outright obliterated Minerva from existence. Even when Fairy Tail hates their enemies for hunting their friends, they draw the line
That is true.
on not killing them, and they will not condone Goron's actions of murdering a human being, even if that was Minerva being a B-word. I'll just say witch, being a witch.
I mean,
Plus, I'm sure that killing is not allowed in the GMG. The people of
Fiore.
Fiore would be afraid of Goron's savagery and calls him a freak, even worse than Fairy Tail, and the Magic Council would call him for his arrest of the crime of murdering a mage from a legal guild. Hopefully Minerva turns out to be alive and unconscious, albeit in a Yamcha pose after she was blown away by Goron's finisher attack, which would give quite a hilarious TFS quote reference, and that Goron dodged the bullet big time. Go run. Impossible. I was sure I vaporized her. How durable is she? How durable am I? Questions for later.
Okay, you have missed so many things, my friend. At the very beginning of the Grand Magic Games, Pumpkinhead told them the Grand Magic Games Committee will not be held responsible for any loss of life that occurs during these events. So there's that. You go into these games knowing that you can get killed. No one is held. This is Mortal Kombat that they're in. They don't have to kill their opponents, but they can, and there's no repercussions
He
for it.
did have a good point about how Fairy Tail would respond to that.
3 words: Tower of Heaven. Natsu flat out said he would kill Jalal.
Not to be confused with the Tower of Babel.
I mean, it's kind of based off of it.
Yeah, I know.
No,
Just kidding.
no, he was going to. He thought he killed Jalal. No one thought anything of it. And Jalal, I mean,
Jalal didn't do as much as Minerva.
no, he
Well,
did. He
he kinda
did.
did.
I would say, but that's the thing. Minerva.
Jalal did a lot more.
Jalal
but
did a
he
lot
was
more to a
possessed.
lot more people. He was possessed. He was possessed by a dark spirit. He was not in his right mind.
Mhm.
He cannot be faulted for what he did. Minerva is doing all of this of her own volition. She is far more evil than he ever was. So I don't. So no one's
But
gonna.
do you
No one's
think
gonna
that-
miss her.
Do you think that Fairy Tail would have kind of had any question though
No,
about the fact that he killed her?
no,
Why not? I mean,
because of the way she
when
treated.
have they ever,
Because of the way
like-
she treated Lucy.
When have they killed evil people? Let's think about it.
They have tried to kill evil people multiple times. Doesn't always work.
I can't jump in because I haven't seen what you guys are talking about, so I'm unqualified.
I'll give you another example. Zero, the head of the Irashian States. Natsu thought he killed him. Turns out later on that he was alive, but it didn't really matter because Cobra killed him anyways as soon as they got out of jail.
So what you're saying is, even though there's been lots of scenes where they kind of spare people's lives,
It's a case-by-case basis.
Okay, all right.
I don't think they have a problem with killing people to get in their way. They've all threatened on multiple occasions. We'll kill you if you hurt
I
one of
don't
our
remember any conversations about whether or not it's
morally acceptable.
morally acceptable.
No, they've
Nothing
like
that-
at one point or another. I think what you might be thinking of is Mira Jane didn't want Elfman to kill that guy when Phantom Lord was a problem. You remember when he first unlocked the Beast Soul form?
Yeah.
She didn't want him to kill that guy, but I think that was more to do with the fact that if he killed that guy while he was like that, he would never come back to his senses.
Yeah.
More than the fact of, I don't think that killing the guy bothered her as much. I don't think that was as much of the problem. So no, I don't think so. No, Fairy Tail won't really bat an eye at it.
Is that all you have to say?
Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Is like, I'm sorry you didn't agree with what I did with Goron, but no, they don't care.
And then your last comment is from Anime Ass Kicker, so 2 5s, very clever. So I guess there are no repercussions for Go Run killing Minerva, I hope.
Well, I think I just answered that question pretty thoroughly.
That's
Is that
it.
all of them?
That's all your comments
Alrighty.
on chapter.
Wow, I got
15.
a lot of comments for that chapter. For that one
Yeah.
chapter.
Yeah, you got the most from I'd say Jeremy Scout
And Simon.
and Simon.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a
Oh,
lot.
yeah, Simon had a lot
He
to
had a
say
lot
about
to
that.
say, very
He
thorough.
usually does, but A, he doesn't usually go on for that long, and B, he usually doesn't speak of it in such glowing terms. So that was pretty
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's
But-
cool.
Alrighty, well, I did see that we had a couple of people join us. Sorry I wasn't able to answer any of your stuff directly, but
Should I go on YouTube to see and I can read those comments?
no, I've got them right here. It's
Sure, I can just do it. real quick.
no, dude, it's like this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But what was I going to say? So, for those of you that are watching, I'm about to go ahead and do some final editing on my newest chapter for the Red Swordsman Shattered Fragment. And I'll be posting the chapter tomorrow, so look forward to that, guys. It's been one of the longest ones that I made so far. I think the only one that's longer than it is the second chapter of the story, which is like 30 pages long.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know. What do you think? Is there anything else that we have left to talk about?
I think we're good there.
Okay.
You don't have any other announcements as far as fan fictions go?
Let's see. The next chapter for Saiyan Tail will come out the day that I go see the Broly movie because I'm sure I want to fangirl about it. If that or it'll come out on the 1st of February, whichever comes first.
It's a lot of animated movies to see.
I'm just going to see Broly. That's the only one that I'm
Oh,
going.
so then what? Okay.
Yeah, that's the only one that I'm planning on going seeing anytime soon. And I'm going to do it on $5 Tuesday, so I can say it Monday.
You still need to
Say
see
movie.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. You need
We're
to
broke.
see it.
We're broke. I'm going on $5 Tuesday, and that's all I can afford right now.
That's
I
fair.
know I would go too, but we can't really afford it right now.
That's fair. No, I hear that. It's good though. It's really good.
But all right. Well, thanks for joining us. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, sure.
And I hope we'll see you all guys again sometime soon.
Peace.
Bye bye.